Ken Kaneki and Mutsuki are two characters who have had some real fucked up shit happen to them in the past. So in today's video, I just want to talk about how both of them coped with these events in their past, and the two characters and what I think the road down the future has for them. So first let's talk about Kaneki, the main character of Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re. The man we've been watching get beaten down, shut up, and kind of just had horrible things happen to him all this time. So Kaneki's backstory originally was that he was an only child, and his father died when he was very young. So his mother cared for him his whole life, and he idolized his mother. She taught him the ideology that it's better that you get hurt instead of inflicting pain on others, and that's how you'll reach happiness. And and he lived by this even after his mother died. His mother died because she worked. I believe she worked. I'm not even forgetting. It's been a while since I read this, but I believe Kaneki's mother, in order to care for her son, she already had to work multiple jobs. And when her sister, Kaneki's aunt, came along asking for money all the time, she had to work herself harder and harder in order to care for both her sister and her son. And she eventually worked herself to death. And this was basically how even after she died, this is basically what Kaneki believed. And of course, Kaneki was taken in by his aunt, obviously, his aunt thinking, this is my sister's son, I gotta care for him. And it was revealed that Kaneki's aunt always had disdain for her sister, believing that she was she never said this out loud while her sister was alive. She always believed in her mind that, oh, my sister's so great, she's so much better than me. Her son is this smart, intelligent young boy. My son's pathetic. She had like a good man who left a house and stuff for her. I have my piece of trash husband. She has a job, money, and can provide for others. And Kaneki's aunt felt inferior, so she took out all this pent-up aggression that she had for her sister out on Kaneki by neglecting Kaneki. At first, she treated Kaneki like part of the family. Kaneki was allowed to eat with them. She would care for him, stuff like that. And as time went on, this became less and less like this. She became much more negative towards Kaneki. At first she wouldn't let him, eat at the table. Then she would start snapping and getting angry at him whenever he would do good things. And eventually it got to the point where her family would eat at the dinner table and do things together. And Kaneki, they would just kind of act like he didn't even live with them. She would leave $1 for him to go get himself some dinner with while they ate a good meal at the table. And we don't really know what happens to Kaneki's aunt and uncle and cousin after this. They just kind of they're not an important part of the story. So for a long time, even after what went down with his aunt, Kaneki always believed in his mother's philosophy, take pain upon yourself, don't deal out upon others, be a good person. That was until he was tortured by Yamari, and he had that hallucination of Rize, in which Kaneki admits that his mother was, weak, and he's always kind of hated her because he felt that she was abandoning her. She didn't have the balls to go up to her, sister and say, I'm not taking care of you, I gotta live for my son. And so that's how Kaneki, that along with the torture and multiple other things, is how Kaneki got his white hair, his initial white hair, and became the character that he's been for a majority of the series. In Tokyo Ghoul Re, when Sasuke fights Ito, and he becomes Kaneki again, he remembers his past, he becomes red hair Kaneki, or whatever you call him at that point in time. He fights Ito, and Ito's like, you've always been the one who likes to take the hit. And then Kaneki's like, I always remember that the ones I love the most would always, beat me the hardest. And we get to learn that his mother wasn't the kind, gentle person that he's always depicted her as in his past. She would, beat Kaneki. And that was the past. And, I remember, back around the time this was revealed, a lot of people were like, whoa, this is the real thing going on in Kaneki's past. Kaneki might be a totally different character from what we thought this whole time. Basically, like some people were like, oh, maybe Kaneki's mother didn't overwork herself. That always sound kind of fishy. Overworking yourself? Maybe Kaneki went crazy and killed his mother. Maybe his mother did worse things to him, stuff like that. Like, oh my god, this completely changes everything. And we haven't really learned much since. Kaneki has developed further as a character, but, his further developments throughout Ri have mostly been tied to characters like Ito, Arima, and Hide. His mother hasn't really been brought up ever again. But I just want to bring up how Kaneki coped with his past and developed throughout a majority of his life, because his mother died when he was like 8 or 9, maybe like 10 or 11, I think. And Kaneki in the beginning of the original Tokyo Ghoul, I believe, is 18 or 19. So going that long throughout your life and not really coming to terms with these feelings and emotions until you become a ghoul and get tortured. What I want to bring up now is that I don't think Kaneki's past are lies. Once again, I don't know how people think about it now. I haven't really seen like forums or anything like this. But I know that in the past, a lot of people thought that because Kaneki's mother would beat him, that immediately meant that everything that went down in his original backstory about his mother was all a lie. Me personally, though, I think that it is lies mixed with truth. I don't believe Kaneki made up anything in his past. How I believe Kaneki's young mind coped with what was going on in his life was that he erased the bad parts of his past, his mother hitting him, and he sugarcoated the good parts of his past. I think both backstories for his mother are true. His mother was a kind and gentle, a genuinely kind and gentle person who did, in the end, care for her son, but she also was, you gotta remember, human. Now, I'll just get into this right now. So, Kaneki's mother, think about it. She was a single mother raising a young boy, and her sister, and she was, once again, the type of person who couldn't say no to people. She would take upon pain to make others' lives better. So that's just her younger sister, Kaneki's aunt, coming in here, constantly asking for money, like, oh, we can't pay our bills this month, help me, when she's barely, helping herself. So in my opinion, I think despite her philosophy, Kaneki's mother was very frustrated with her life, and sadly, she took this anger out by hitting her son. I think she hit Kaneki way more than anyone should. You should never beat your child, but I don't think it was out of hatred for Kaneki, nor do I think she did it all the time, like every day. The second Kaneki comes home, hi mom. I think this was something that she did on days when either work stressed her out, or her sister stressed her out, or something stressed her out too much, and she, went past the breaking point and did what shouldn't do, what no parent should do. She just went up and popped Kaneki, and eventually she would come to her senses. And this obviously changed Kaneki, because some days his mother is kind and, nice, and other days his mom is abusive and horrible. And, how Kaneki's mind dealt with it, especially after his mom died and he was left alone and his aunt neglected him and all this other stuff. Kaneki was never good at making friends, so all he had was Hide, stuff like this. Kaneki's mind coped with these conflicting memories by blocking out the abuse and making his mom's kindness be expanded, exaggerated. I think his mom was overall a nice person, but his memories made her seem like a saint, way nicer than she was, she didn't have flaws. Her flaw being that when she was stressed out, angry, or, just on a bad day, she would beat Kaneki. And while Kaneki's coping strategy is unhealthy, very unhealthy, probably should have got, some type of therapy in life, it was still a coping strategy. Kaneki grew up, for the most part, normal. He went to school, he had a friend, he managed to make it, he got into college, and everything in his life would have most likely been pretty normal up until he met Rize, obviously, and became a half ghoul, and all the events of the story happens, and his past gets unraveled, all this went on, but I think it is, once again, despite being unhealthy, it is because Kaneki covered up his past, made himself forget, but also, kept his mother's philosophy, why he could continue being the while flawed and kind of crazy, the overall good person that he's remained throughout the series. Once again, I think most of this is probably because of Hide, but I still have a feeling that his mom's philosophy and him forgetting the bad parts of his childhood had a hand at him becoming the main hero he is now. Especially him meeting people, him just meeting the right people. Like, throughout the story, you can't agree. Kaneki's had some luck. You know, well, he's met some jerks. He's also met some pretty genuine people, like Yoshimura, Toka, Yomo, and even, you know, especially that Arima stabbed his brains out, Arima overall helped him. Ito was his enemy for a long time, but if it wasn't for Ito, he wouldn't be where he's at now, being able to go against the CCG, and heck, he probably wouldn't even be alive. Who knows? Now, on the flip side of the spectrum, someone who didn't end up in such a good place, and that's Toru Mutsuki, one of the QS, one of the original 4 QS. So Mutsuki, when introduced in the series, was a weird character. So I believe Mutsuki, you know, unlike Psycho, Mutsuki was introduced in the first chapter of Re. And, you know, Toru Mutsuki, we didn't know much about her. Back then, we thought she was a man, though this wasn't really kept a secret for a long time. No joke, I thought Mutsuki was a girl from the beginning, just because it's a very feminine, like, I mean, look at Mutsuki. Mutsuki's a very feminine character design already. And then early on in the series, it's revealed that Mutsuki was a girl, but and her parents were killed by a ghoul. So, she, like most people, because remember, most of the CCG officers, with some exceptions, are children who had their parents or a family member or a friend be killed by a ghoul, so they became doves or other people working the CCGs out of revenge, people like Kuro and Shiro, or even Amon. So she apparently her family, which consisted of her father, her mother, and her baby brother, were killed by a ghoul, and so Mutsuki entered the Ghoul Academy, the Ghoul Hunting Academy, and did not want to be known as a woman. You know, she wanted to live as a man. And even back then, we were just like, oh, this is kind of fishy. Most people assume that something either, you know, sexually or mentally, you know, happened, you know, went wrong in her past. Some tragedy happened in her past that made her not want to be a woman, you know. So Mutsuki, throughout a majority of the early Re, was just kind of, I mean, she was a very interesting character, though compared to, like, Shirazu of the QS got most of the character development early on. We knew some things about Mutsuki, like, you know, Mutsuki's Kakugan was always active. Apparently some of them considered him to be like a failed QS, because, you know, Mutsuki wasn't particularly strong, and, you know, didn't know how to use, he couldn't even activate his Kagane. And this is how Mutsuki remained for a lot of time. And once again, Mutsuki's past was very concealed. You know, very early on, a lot of the QS's past were given. You know, Psycho just wanted to be an otaku and play games her whole life, but her mom forced her to join the CCG. Uri's father was like a special class investigator, so he wants to be the same. Shirazu wants to raise money to save his sister. But Mutsuki's past, other than, like, we still didn't know too much about it. So, you know, Mutsuki continued on, and then, you know, met Torso. Torso fell in love with Mutsuki. I don't know if you call it what you call that. And then it was finally in the, probably one of the best arc in Re, I'll say, when they're, you know, attacking, the battle between the Doves and Algiri, where Kaneki fights Arima, and the QS go in to save Mutsuki, who was kidnapped by Torso and stuff. And we finally learned, throughout the stuff with Torso, Mutsuki's full, depressing, and macabre backstory. So let's talk about Mutsuki's past. So Mutsuki, her father was very physically, mentally, and sexually abusive. If Mutsuki so much as looked at him wrong, he would drown her in a bathtub. Her mother was terrified of her father and wouldn't do anything to help her. And of course her brother was just an infant, so he couldn't help. And well, one day, after, you know, years of this abuse, I think Mutsuki was also like 8 or 9 when this happened. Mutsuki, unlike Kaneki, who coped with his abuse by forgetting about it and covering it up, how Mutsuki coped with her abuse. Maybe it's because Mutsuki just from the beginning wasn't as mentally stable. Maybe it's because, without a doubt, Mutsuki's tragedy was way more tragic than Kaneki's tragedy. You know, Kaneki's mother would beat him from time to time, which is awful. But Mutsuki's father, on a daily basis, was doing horrible things to her. Mutsuki snapped, and while we don't fully know how she did this, she probably did it while her family was sleeping. She killed her father, her mother, and her baby brother. And like Kaneki, she forgot about this and told the CCG that ghouls killed her parents. And the police knew that, I believe it was shown in the series that the police knew that Mutsuki was the one who did it, but because of how mentally unstable she was and how young she was, probably had to do with this too, they just simply went with the story that ghouls did it in hopes that Mutsuki would never remember what actually happened. Now you think, okay, there's an awful thing she did, it's going to be awful when she remembers it, but like Kaneki, she covered it up. The problem is, what she did, what happened to her was so much worse. Kaneki never killed anyone when he was a kid. She murdered her family. And this killer instinct came back at times. Juzo, when Juzo was in the academy, a lot of people thought that Juzo was killing cats and dogs outside of CCG Academy. And of course, it was later revealed, while Juzo may like crushing bugs, Juzo never killed any animals. It was revealed to be one of the teachers, the one that, that same teacher who was revealed to be the one who tortured Yamari and made him the way he was. Apparently Mutsuki was very much the same. Mutsuki would kill animals as well, you know, and like would forget that she did it. We even see like she interacts with that one teacher a few times. And also during the hunt for Big Madam, I think it was, the auction, Mutsuki starts feeding on a human, I believe it was a human, and once again forgot that she did that. Mutsuki throughout her life, because of just how tragic her past was and the what she had to cope with it, murdering and then forgetting her murder, her crazy instincts came back into play, and she fully remembered her past after Torso abused her. You know, she remembered her past, and what was the first thing she did? She killed Torso in the most descriptive panel in Tokyo Ghoul history. After that, you know, Mutsuki, I can't really call her white-haired Mutsuki, I guess more like gray-haired Mutsuki. You know, since then, Mutsuki has been the way she is, probably the most mentally, like, I thought Sato was the most mentally damaged Tokyo Ghoul character. Nah, Mutsuki takes the cake. Mutsuki, okay, so like the first thing she does, from what I remember, is like she shows up with her full CCG armor, not even like a few minutes after brutally murdering Torso. Like even Uri, when Uri and Psycho found Torso's torso, they were just like, did Mutsuki do this? This is kind of fucked up. So she fights Sato, I believe, if I'm remembering right, and she beats up Sato pretty easily, and she tries to do the killing blow, and Akira, obviously because of her past with Sato, jumped in the way of Mutsuki's attack and got injured. And if this was the beginning of Mutsuki would have probably been like, oh my, like she probably would have forgot Sato was even there, and been like, oh my god, I hurt Akira, and went up to try and help her. This new and improved Mutsuki, friggin' just was like, oh, you're gonna protect the ghoul? You're a traitor then, I'm gonna kill you. And Sato and Amon tried to fight her off. And I believe she also, like, fought Amon for a bit, but obviously the other QS showed up by that point to finish it off. And after that, she had a bit of a kinship with some of Hachikaze, I think his name was, the one with the mouths, subordinates. And she really hasn't interacted with the other QS like all that much. Even after the new QS like Higamaru or Hisao joined, Mutsuki hasn't really interacted with them all that much, or even the old QS. We had that one scene not too long ago where Psycho confronts Mutsuki. It was shortly after the stuff with Algiri and Ito dying and Furata becoming the main villain happened, where Mutsuki was talking to Psycho, and Psycho was like, you know, there's something you're not telling me, Mu-chan. And Mutsuki was like, okay, Psycho, the truth is, I'm a woman. And she just kind of walks off, and Psycho just looks over her Moonchan, I've known for a long ass time you're not a woman. You're not a man. You kind of forget, ghouls can smell the difference between a man and a woman. That's like confirmed really early on in the series. What I'm concerned about is the fact that you smell like, human flesh. It's all on your breath. So that confirmed that Mutsuki has continued to eat people. Well, actually, no, I don't think it's been confirmed whether she's eating humans or if she's just eating ghouls. Either way, that's bad. Because remember, QSs can eat regular food. They don't need to devour their own kind. But apparently Mutsuki's been doing it. And then, of course, the most recent thing to go on with Mutsuki's character, is Juzo and Mutsuki and Aura, I think. They're fighting Uta. And Uta's whole thing is that he's no-face. Along with making masks, he can kind of easily manipulate his appearance. So he's like fighting Juzo, and he makes himself look like Shinohara. And he's fighting, and then after that, he runs away, and Mutsuki chases him down. And when Mutsuki takes his mask off, he made himself look like Psycho. Like Sasaki, Kaneki's former identity. And what does Mutsuki do? So we learn something about Mutsuki's backstory. The fact that Mutsuki apparently fell in love with Sasaki, which is something I saw coming because of the fact that even early on when we were supposed to think that Mutsuki was a man, Mutsuki was usually a lot more like gentler and kinder around Sasaki than everyone else. And what happens after we learn this? She repeatedly stabs Uta in the face and then fucks him. Or rapes him, or I don't know, Uta's alive, so I guess it's not necrophilia. But yeah, and then in the most recent chapter, chapter 116, we learned that she basically let Uta get away after this. Aura saw the whole thing, and he's just kind of like, I'm not going to bring this up, but I want to kill Sasaki, and Mutsuki's like, and she grabs Aura's hand and is like, we'll kill him together. So yeah, Mutsuki's kind of fucked. And like I said, I think mainly it is because, as a child, she wasn't in a situation where she couldn't do anything. Her mother wasn't helping her. As far as we know, she didn't have any friends or teachers that would help her. She was kind of stuck in this awful situation. But once again, unlike Kaneki, who just kind of held his pain back, which once again isn't healthy, Mutsuki snapped. She broke, and then tried to hold that guilt and anger and rage and just kind of fucked up in this back. And that's just kind of come back into a major role. So that's the difference between these two characters. Very similar with their past, having abusive upbringings, but just the way they coped with it, the way their minds work have changed them. And to end off this video, I just want to talk about what the future has for Sasaki, Mutsuki, and honestly the rest of Sasaki's former squad, being Psycho, Uri, maybe even the rest of the QSs. So as we know, Kaneki, after he became the One-Eyed King, he formed his organization, GOAT. And GOAT consists of a lot of people that Kaneki's encountered throughout the series. His friends from like early on in the series, like, Toka and Yomo, and Nishio and Tsukiyama. It also consists of like former Algiri members like Ayato, Naki in the white suits, Three Blades Misa. It also consists of former CCG people like Amon, Akira, Sato, Arima's Zero Squad, people like that. And Kaneki wants GOAT to be an organization that, from what I remember, not only will take out the CCG and V and Furata, but will also like bring ghouls and humans together. So I think it's very likely that as time goes on in the series, because we don't know how much longer Tokyo Ghoul Re is going to be going on. The original Tokyo Ghoul, from what I remember, was 145 chapters, 14 volumes, and we're at 116 chapters. But there's still a lot more stuff they could potentially do. So Tokyo Ghoul Re might last as short as 30 or 40 more chapters, or as long as 100 or 150 more chapters. I hope for the latter, because I want more Tokyo Ghoul greatness. But yeah, I feel that as time goes on, GOAT will get more followers and will become an organization greater and larger than even Algiri was. More ghouls will join, more humans will join. Even now, they would consider a lot of humans that join. Like those doctors at heal Akira. They're like allied with GOAT, I guess you could at least say. And as we know, a lot of people, after Sasaki became Kaneki, a lot of people in the CZG are very, confused. Like, you have Juzo, who still considers Sasaki a friend, but has already stated that, while he may be my friend, the first person who I've ever really considered a friend, I will, kill him if I'm ordered to. I won't do it, of my own free will, but if the order comes from Furata, kill, Ken Kaneki, I'll do it. And then you have Uri, who hates, even though how should I put this? Uri has conflicted feelings about Sasaki. He doesn't want to hate him, but he also does hate him for betraying their trust. Especially since Kaneki kind of betrayed their trust early on, because around the same time Sasaki's memories came back, that was when Kaneki first left the QA. Around the same time Kaneki became Kaneki again. That was around the same time Shirazu died, and Kaneki didn't really mourn with them, So Uri for a while has had some repressed emotions about his opinions on Sasaki. And now Sasaki's betrayed them. It's just, yeah. So it's made pretty clear, while Uri doesn't want to hate Sasaki, there's part of him that wants to understand why Sasaki betrayed them, but there's also part of him that also doesn't want to understand. He just wants to kill him. I don't even know if Uri wants to kill him. Uri might just hate him. And then you have Psycho, who I believe Psycho's opinion on the matter is that she knows she should hate Sasaki, but she can't bring herself to hate Mamon. She's sick of her friends, her family leaving her. Shirazu died. Her mom just kind of threw her in the CCG without caring. Mutsuki's changed. Sasaki's left. She hates that essentially what she considers her family is being torn apart. She just wants them to come together again. And of course, Mutsuki, as we know, because of her feelings of love and betrayal for Sasaki, like I said, Psycho just wants Sasaki to come back and hopes that this will happen, even though it's very unlikely. Uri hates Sasaki, but I don't think he could bring himself to kill him. Mutsuki is different. Mutsuki wants Sasaki dead. So does a lot of other CCG, like Ui, I think, and Aura. They want him dead. I have a feeling that as time goes on, along with more ghouls joining Kaneki's GOAT organization, Kaneki will meet up with Psycho and Uri again, maybe at the same time. And I have a feeling that Uri will try and fight Kaneki, and either the fight will get cut off or Kaneki will win without killing Uri. And I think Psycho will agree to join GOAT. Maybe I don't know, Kaneki tries to tell them about V, and maybe they won't hear the whole thing, but just enough that they hear is enough for Psycho just to want to be with Sasaki again, want them to all be together again. And I have a feeling that while Uri would not agree at first, maybe Psycho and Kaneki both begging him will get him to. His only goal is to move up in the ranks. But after this stuff with Psycho and Prada and Higamaru and all the stuff in the past with Shirazu dying, and especially if Kaneki ever has any concrete proof that Furuta is evil, then Uri and Psycho could very, potentially join, especially since, once again, Arima's squad, the Zero Squad, joined GOAT, left the CCG and joined GOAT. So I have a very, very likely, not very likely, but a 50-50 chance that Psycho and Uri will join GOAT at some point. Mutsuki, I think, is different. I don't think Mutsuki would ever join GOAT. Really, I don't think Mutsuki could have a resolution in the series without dying. In my opinion, I think one of two things would happen in that situation. Either Mutsuki would, one of three things. Mutsuki would either, he'd axe them, and Mutsuki would either immediately try and kill Kaneki. Mutsuki wouldn't be there when he axes them, and Psycho and Uri agree to join, and Mutsuki shows up a few seconds later and hears enough of it, and similar to Akira will just try and kill all three of them. Or three, and this one I can see being very likely considering how Mutsuki is, he axes the three of them. And Psycho and Uri legitimately say, okay, we'll join your organization. And Mutsuki says, okay, I'll join. And they go back to their base, which, from what I remember, isn't their base in the coffee shop or whatever? And then after they show up at GOAT's base, all the CCG shows up and just starts slaughtering, members of GOAT. Or Mutsuki just starts slaughtering members of GOAT. And it's revealed that Mutsuki, trapped them all here. Her goal is to kill Kaneki and all the people who dare ally themselves with Kaneki. Especially since, GOAT has a lot of cannon fodder. There are some characters who I don't see dying anytime soon, like Toka, or even Nishiki, or Tsukiyama. But there are members of GOAT that are very expendable. Like, I believe, Banjo's, gas mask schools are still there. We don't even know what any of their names are. There are some no-name, like I don't see Naki dying, or even Misa, but there's a whole bunch of like no-name white suits. The Zero Squad, maybe Harako would survive just because he's been around in the series for a while, but I don't see any chance for all. They got lucky with this clown stuff that no one died on their team, but those Zero Squad members more than anyone are really expendable. Like I could see just Mutsuki showing up, start slaughtering people, slaughters like a whole fucking like 3 whole members of a Zero Squad immediately. Freaking Hiroko loses an arm, a bunch of white suits die, and I don't know, Sato loses a leg, or Sato can grow a leg back, or whatever. I can see some expendables getting defeated in GOAT, but whatever. So that's me talking about Kaneki and Mutsuki, some similarities that they have, and the path they pave for the future. I don't know. So yeah, hope to do more Tokyo Ghoul videos in the future. Maybe I'll learn how to talk by then. Based on Llama 3, out.